Hey guys, and welcome to part 2 of my alternate picking course with me, Rex Pearson from rexpearson.com. I hope you enjoyed part 1. Now, we've got 3 lesson aims for you today. The first one is about working on your finger independence. I'm going to give you 5 exercises that are going to develop the left hand so that we develop this finger independence, which is probably the core root cause of a lot of problems that develop later on in your alternate picking lives. So we're going to iron out the problems before they even get started. The second aim we're going to be looking at is about how to use a metronome to measure your progress. It can be very demoralizing if you don't know where you are in the grand scheme of things. You need to know how fast or what level you are playing at on these exercises. So a metronome is a great way of knowing exactly what tempo you're playing at. It's just a device that clicks at a certain tempo, so you can measure how fast you can play each exercise, and then you can track your progress from there to your future goals. And that's the third aim, is I want you guys to be setting a goal for your alternate picking finger independence exercises. So you're going to get a root baseline, and then you're going to set yourself a goal, obviously increasing the tempo till you can play the exercises at a certain tempo. So we're going to start off with the first exercise. Now the one thing I want you guys to really pay attention to, we've already covered it a little bit in part 1, but this is the exercise extends it across the whole fretboard. Focus on making sure that you're fretting each finger just behind the frets. So when you're fretting a note, don't let it sit really far back here and the fret. Make sure it's just behind the fret. And also make sure your hand is floating above the fretboard, not miles up in the air like this. Make sure it's floating above each individual fret. It's going to be a 4-fingered exercise, so you're going to need to make sure that the fingers are hovering above their respective frets. And then we're going to start the exercise, but focusing on making sure they're behind the frets, hovering above the fretboard. You're not pushing down too much pressure on each note, and you're not going for speed on this one. You're going for accuracy and focus on those elements. We're going to work on speed in the other finger independence exercises. So for now, here's the exercise. Now you can see it's a very simple exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Move across the string. 1, 2, 3, 4. You carry on up, focusing, making sure that the finger's floating each time. When you reach the last note with the little finger, you're going to shift that up 1 fret, so it's a small slide, and then you begin your descent down. The whole time you are going to be doing alternate picking, so make sure you practice this nice and slow, like I said in part 1, to the speed that you're not going to make mistakes. Once you've got a handle on the sort of exercise there, you're going to use a metronome to count you in. So you're going to get a tick. And what I would like you to do is to extend up the fretboard as far as you can, or as far as you feel you need, to make sure that you've got that finger independence, so that each finger is lifting off naturally and there's not a lot of tension in the hand. That's the first exercise. That's the first exercise, working with the right hand all the way up as far as you go, and then if you want to extend it even more, you can come back down the other way. The more you do on this, the better your hands will be. But remember that speed, although I played it fast there, speed is not the goal of this exercise. It's to make sure that you've got correct finger independence. Fingers aren't waving around all over the place and you're hovering above the fretboard. That's exercise 1. The next ones, we're going to work on your speed. Okay, exercise 2 is a development of this one. We're not going to be doing alternate picking through the next exercises, because we're focusing on the left hand finger independence for this part. So all you're going to need to do is a downstroke at the beginning of each string. Now we're looking at the finger combinations. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, we're looking at the finger combinations 1, 2, 4. Now in order to get that 4th finger to reach just behind the fret, the thumb is going to have to be behind the neck. If you try it with the thumb over the neck, you're not going to be able to get that reach. So make sure it slides back behind there, roughly in line with the index finger. Fingers hovering above the frets that they're going to play on. And the exercise is as simple as hammer-ons for those. Then you move on to the next one. Next string. Then you slide up, but you're not, because we're going 1, 2, 4, the next note is going to be on the second fret, so it will be a like that, not a. Then you come down the strings. Right hand should just be doing a downstroke on each new set of strings. Remember, the focus on this is finger independence, releasing each finger one after the other. It will make a big difference when we get to the alternate picking side, because you won't have to think about your left hand quite so much. Now, gradually, you speed that up to a comfortable tempo for you, whatever speed that is, so that you're not making mistakes. All the way ascending up the fretboard, all the way back down. I'll just demonstrate it at a fast tempo, but you understand, do not practice this too fast, because you'll be doing yourself an injustice, you'll be practicing mistakes, and it's going to be very hard to train you out of mistakes. So don't play it at this speed if it's uncomfortable for you. Etc. Up, back down. All the way back down the fretboard. There you go. That's the second exercise of your finger independence training. Third exercise coming right up. Now, the natural extension for the third exercise is to look at a different finger combination. So same principles with the right hand, you're just going to be doing downstrokes. The left hand is working on the finger combinations 1, 3 and 4. Now, just a note about the 3 and 4 fingers, the tendon is shared between the third and fourth finger, so you'll always find this combination a little bit more difficult than 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. The 3 and the 4 fingers are always very difficult. So we're going to work on that with 1, 3, 4. Again, all the way up the fretboard. All the way up the fretboard, then all the way back down at a tempo that is comfortable for you. Do not try it at that speed if it's not comfortable. I can't say that enough, because a lot of people will still gun for it anyway, and yeah, we'll end up on a bad path. So, 2 combinations there. You've had 3 exercises that develop finger independence. The whole time you should be focusing on making sure that each finger releases as you go, and that the fingers aren't flying around too much. They're hovering about 1 inch above the fretboard the whole time. That will develop really good technique. Okay, exercise 4 of your 5 exercises for finger independence, the foundation stage for the alternate picking course. Now, this one's a lot more difficult than the ones we've been doing, because it's going to be working on finger combinations. Now, you're going to be using all 4, but it's not going to be going in ascending order. We're going to be mixing it up a bit. The combination is 1, 3, 2, 4. So if we start at the first fret as usual, 1, 3, 2, 4. Now, the tendency when people get to this one is the fingers start flying all over the place. Try not to let that happen. Nice and relaxed, nice and slow, not too much pressure. 1, 3, 2, 4. Now, for many, you're going to need to pick twice. 1 pick for the start of those 2 notes, then 1 pick for the 2 and the 4. So make sure you do downstrokes on both of those. If you get to a quite fast speed, you might need to do a down up, because you'll be increasing the speed. But for now, you can use 2 picks, or if you can get away with 1 pick, that's even better. And again, you work at a tempo that is comfortable for you. I'll demonstrate it at a faster tempo so that you can hear how it sounds. But that's a really great one for working the combination of fingers and getting used to that sort of style of playing. There you go. That's at a much faster tempo. So that's exercise 4. We've got a final exercise, which is the most difficult one, I think, anyway, because it's going to work the 4 and the 3, that one with the shared tendon. So let's look at exercise 5 for finger independence on your alternate picking. Get ready for it. Here it comes. Okay, so we're on to the final exercise of your finger independence training, the solid foundation, which we're going to work from. So I hope you've been putting in the time on this one. The final combination is another four-fingered combination. It's going to incorporate the 4th and 3rd fingers quite a lot. Basically, you start with the 1st finger. Then you're going to go 4, 3, 2. But it's all going to be played with pull-offs. Yep, not just alternate picking. You're only going to pick once on this exercise, and hopefully you've got enough strength in the small finger here to pull off across to the third and second finger. Now it doesn't matter if it fades out completely by the time you get to that second finger. You might find it will go something like that. Don't worry too much about it now, just make sure that you're releasing fingers as you go and that you are fretting that finger with nothing getting in the way. You might need to pick it out to make sure that it's there. Then you move it through the strings. Now when you reach the movement to go up, you're going to be playing the same note twice. The second finger would have just played the second fret, and the first finger needs to move to cover its place. Etc. all the way through. Now again, I'll demonstrate that at a faster tempo so you can see how it sounds, but only practice at the speed that is comfortable for you. I keep saying it so that you'll remember it. Okay. There you go, that's at a slightly faster tempo so that you can hear how it sounds. Now that's probably the most difficult one because of the fourth finger and the third finger being used to hammer on and pull off. Quite a hard combination there, but it's great foundation for what we're going to be working on in the next part. Now that's all 5 exercises there for you. The final thing that we're going to just talk about now is setting yourself a goal. Now you'll see I'll be posting a little description there. Each 5 exercise has 3 targets. You have a good, you've got an awesome, and you've got a god-like level. So set yourself a target, find out where your foundation is, and play through the exercises. The first, 4th and 5th exercise are 4 notes per beat. So when you have a click, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The second and third exercises, because there are only 3 notes, the target is for 3 notes per beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the targets, beats per minute, I'll sort of take that into account. Now set yourself where you are roughly now, and then aim for the next level above that. Remember, it should be comfortable. You're not going for speed, you're going for accuracy, floating the fingers, just behind the fret, all those things. You're focusing on this because you want a strong foundation. And that is your finger independence training done. Make sure that you practice all 5 of those exercises for 20 minutes after this lesson at least, and then we can move on to part 3.